let's look at the camera but talk to each other.
Okay, cool.
Because that'll...
Yeah, all right, brilliant. Right,
So, when did the Homosexuals first form?
Well, they came out of the ashes of my first band, which was called The Rejects, which I did my first ever gig with The Rejects. I put together in January 1977, played at the Roxy, supporting the Damned, the Adverts and the Vibrators. And at that time, anybody that was playing at the Roxy, all the major labels were trying to snap them up, it was kind of feeding frenzy. And after about 9 months to a year, I was getting really, really pissed off with, this whole thing of the new conformity of punk. I mean, I played at the Roxy with long hair, they spat on John Peel when he went there, and he was bald. And I just thought, for me it was over, because I was a child of the 60s, and I was already disillusioned in 76 with my heroes from the 60s, and I thought, well, it took about 3 years for the establishment to realise you could destabilise that potentially revolutionary political energy of a whole generation by signing up the articulators and selling it back to the kids in music and fashion, and then give them copious amounts of drugs, I love the CIA, in the 60s in America. And, but it still took them about 3 years to learn that lesson. So when punk happened, I thought, let's see how long it's going to take for them to do the same trip to the past. And it really did. It was about 6 months, And so I broke the band up, and I thought, I'll get a new band together. And because I realised the boys in the first band, they just wanted to be famous, really. And then I thought, how can I keep the major labels away from us? And I was thinking of a name, and I thought, well, in ancient Greece, they didn't used to separate the left side of the brain from the right side of the brain. If you were a great artist, you were expected to be a great mathematician. And it might sound very romantic, sort of like, I don't know, out there, but I really was thinking that, and I've been investigating Aristophanes and Sophocles and Ajax and, all different kinds of people, and I thought, wow, what a great time to be alive, to have a symposium every month and meet like-minded people that you didn't necessarily agree with on everything, but you all knew each other so well that you could sort of interplay and learn from each other, even if you didn't actually agree with everything that was said. And I love the idea of sort of every part of the brain being occupied by music. And at that time, they really thought that the brain just affected the music was just affected by the creative side of the brain. But now, just recently, neuroscientists are finding that it affects every part of the brain. So I was just being very intuitive, and I thought, well, what link? And I thought, well, homo means that men have the same idea. And I thought, well, we are a rock band, there's got to be something sexually like homosexual. And my bass player said, first generation Irish, right? I'm third generation. I said, he's first generation. He said, oh, why don't we call it the non-homosexuals? And I was saying, missing the point, you're a great fan, but you're missing the point, And Anton, my guitarist, he was quite sort of like sensible, He said, oh yeah, that's a great name. So that's how the name came about. And also I knew that it would keep the majors away from us, that they'd come and say, well, hey, great band, but what about the name? And I'd be like, yeah, it's a great name. So, well, we'll see you later. So that's how the name came about. So the Homosexuals came out of the ashes of the Rejects, and that was about sort of like 78, something like that. Then we decided to, I decided that if we pressed up 2,000 copies of our records and did everything ourselves, and then burned the master tapes, because we sent a manifesto to the music industry saying, look, you've been controlling the means of production and distribution, so you've controlled artists up until now, because if you're not prepared to sell your soul to a record label, then you end up playing to two men and a dog in Belgium, and it's the dog that's clapping, and you think, yeah, well, nice dog, but, where's the money going to come from to eat? And that was it. There was nothing else to do except just make the music and get it out there. But it was a classic case of when you're an artist and you can't express yourself, then perhaps you get low self-esteem, you try and kill the pain with drink and drugs, bad relationships, but that's the Homosexuals' first film.